Hello and welcome to Living in the Jacket. Today I have two very special guests to me and to my advisor and to my whole chapter. Why don't you introduce yourselves?
Hey guys, my name is Lee. I'm Virginia FFA State Vice President, 25 to 26.
Hi guys, I'm Franco. I am the other Virginia FFA State Vice President for the 2025-2026 year.
Awesome. Yeah, we had them the whole day today. We snatched them up for the whole day. And we're planning to go for something extra special after. But today we have them to ask some questions about being a state officer and member and just what it means. So why don't we hop right into that? So just an overall question. Why did you join FFA?
So I always like to say I joined FFA because my sister's best friend, Allie, it was like sixth or seventh grade, and she was telling me that she got to skip school to do a chicken judging contest. And I thought that was the coolest thing, not because of the chicken judging contest, because I thought it was super cool. I got to skip school. And when I went to ninth grade and told my ag teacher about this, she asked me, "Hey, Franco, have you ever seen a chicken in your life?" And I said no, because I come from a suburban neighborhood. So it was all because of that moment where I was like, wait, this is a place that you can like skip school. It seems like a good community. And even though our chapter is really small, it was just a great opportunity where I realized that even though Allie didn't come from an agricultural background, she was still able to join FFA. And that was probably the biggest part of that I took away, was that it doesn't matter where you come from, that I still have a place in FFA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just for everybody who's listening, Allie's our state reporter this year. So,
yes, love Allie.
But I'm a very different background when it comes to joining FFA. My sixth grade year, basically my dad just kind of said, "Do you have an FFA program at your middle school?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Okay, well, you're joining it." And I it's kind of one of those things when your parents tell you to do something, you do it. So I joined, and at first I didn't really do much. I did a parliamentary procedure contest, and then my ag teacher wanted me to do a extemporaneous public speaking contest, even though I couldn't. I was competing against seniors. I actually placed really well in my federation for a sixth grader. But then I fell in love with dairy judging and FFA and the community you get from it. And then that's how I got here. So, yeah.
Yes. And we're so glad to have you as our state vice presidents. Is it a bromance? Is it a big bromance between you two?
Yeah, you know it.
I like to say it is the bromance.
It is the bromance?
Yeah.
Like
okay.
It's the best one.
It's definitely clear. I can tell. Anyway, so going off of that, what were y'all's SAEs going into FFA?
So my SAE started off, I come from a dairy farm. So I'm in Weirs Cave, Virginia. We have a 600-acre dairy farm. We milk about 115 cows. And that was my SAE, was technically dairy placement. But I worked on my dad's farm, working for him. I kind of started off just, doing the pretty boring stuff, washing robots, and then eventually kind of graduated into a bigger role on the farm. And that was my SAE and my journey through that. So it was since probably my seventh grade year when I really started full-time on the farm, and then it ended up graduating, and I clocked a lot of hours in. I tell you what, I look back at AET and I was putting in my work hours that I had on record, and I was like, man, I've worked 4,000 hours. Oh yeah, that's great. So that was my SE. I've learned a lot and loved it.
So our chapter was pretty small when I joined, and I didn't really understand what SE was until my junior year, but I was able to backlog it when I figured out that I was having an SAE through my governor's school program. So our governor's school program, every student's required to do their own research project, and Ms. B helped me do a GMO research project on its effect on third world countries. So that was my SE my 9th and 10th grade year. It was agri-science research. And then my junior year, your boy needed a job. So I worked at a dog boarding facility called Calypso Kennels, and I'm what they call a playtime technician, which is a very fancy word for I play with dogs. So that's my exposure to the agricultural industries through veterinary science.
Oh, that's awesome. Having a job to play with puppies all day, I would love that.
Yes.
So going off of that, why did you become a state officer? Why did you run for state office?
That's a really, really good question. So for me, state office was something where I saw it at my first convention, and I knew it was something I wanted to do. I loved the impact they made on me, and I think there's a few pretty big reasons I ran for state office. When I was younger, it mostly revolved around a lot of the state officers who impacted me. I'll never forget Charlie Mosers from Liberty Bedford. He welcomed me at my first event, even though I was the only person from my chapter there. And that mindset of really trying to make people feel included was a really big driving force. And later on, it was more like looking at my background as a suburban student and wanting to be that representation that wherever you come from, leadership is still possible and you can still help people feel included and welcomed and heard in a place like FFA.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I wanted to become a state officer. I was a pretty interesting person back, my junior and sophomore year of high school. And it was kind of one day at FFA camp, a state officer came up to me and was kind of like, you just like, wow, you're really, I guess, electric. Like when we were at FFA camp, I mean, it was just like, I'd never been to FFA camp before, and it was like a new world. And I never really considered that I could really run for state office. I mean, I always saw it and I always remember kind of seeing everybody run up on stage on the fifth session. And I was like, that's really cool. I really wanted to see that. I was like, but I don't think I could really have it in me. I really didn't think so. And, first year I ran, didn't get it. And that's okay. But it just made me want to come back and do it again even more. So, yeah.
Yeah. And we're so glad to have you, as I said. And Franco has touched on this a little bit because he comes from a suburban area more. But because you both are rural and suburban, but you're both vice presidents. So what's that difference like?
So I can be the first one to say the difference. It doesn't affect how we get along. I mean, like you said, the bromance is real. But I will say the difference is when he comes over to the farm, it's like a completely new world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm showing him everything. He's at all the questions. He gets to pet all the animals.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just tell, you can just see the way he lights up every time he comes in. You can tell the difference. And I think the big difference for me is like, I'm used to driving like 30, 40 minutes anywhere to get to anything I want to. And Franco's like, yeah, I just went to Walmart. And he's like 6 minutes later.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Like, I don't have that, And I think it's just it's very different for me anyway, Franco.
Yeah, like Lee said, it is a super big culture difference. Even just like the culture of the valley is crazy. I remember me and Lee were at a sleepover with some other state officers, and it was like 7 a.m. We all just wake up, and Allie pulls out this blanket, and she holds it so comfortably. She was like, "Oh, Franco, this is a valley tradition. I know my Meemaw, she made me this homemade blanket. I got to pick out the cloth, and this Spider-Man one, I'm pretty sure this is Lee's blanket." And it's just like those little culture differences that I would never know. It's just so apparent, but I love to hear it. And I think like another thing is our time as FFA members were very, very different, but like we both found commonality in a place like FFA. So I know Lee did lots of dairy judging. For me, I did a lot of more public speaking side of it.
Yeah, I definitely say that we had very different paths through the FFA, but at the end of the day, I think it was meant to be,
Yeah.
kind of where we ended up.
That's good. And I can definitely tell that y'all were meant to be in your position. What can I say?
We like to say the vice presidents are the life of the party.
Hey, I'm a vice president, so I can say that is very much true.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Kara,
Oh yeah.
You know
Yep.
It is to have a good time.
Yep, that's what we're here for.
Never a dull moment when we're around. I'll tell you that.
VP for life. But what has been the best part about being a state officer? Like the most fun part?
I would say for me, it's kind of those moments where you get to come home and kind of see your roots again and see how much I've grown and how much they've grown. I've just been like absolutely mind-boggling. I remember probably one of my favorite events was going back to Central Colt, which is chapter officer leadership training, and getting to see the chapter that grew me up in a whole new generation of them, and then seeing all these people I've met from the Central area taking charge of their own chapter was just amazing. And like fun fact about me, like I said, I come from a small chapter. In my 9th and 10th grade year, I went to a lot of events alone, and it was these people that like welcomed me and put me under their wing and made me feel comfortable. And just getting back to see them and see them thrive has just been so amazing. It's just such a unique experience.
I'd say my favorite part about being state office is being able to kind of see the impact you make on some of the people. Just kind of the simple conversation, remembering somebody's name. I remember when a state officer first like took a second and like was like, "Hey, Lee, nice to meet you." It was like new world. I was like, "Whoa, a celebrity's talking to me right now." And I think another thing I realized too is that we're just normal people. Like we're just normal people. We just have a title. Like there's no difference. We're still just good old Lee Kent and Franco. So like I think that's probably watching the impact you make. I mean, and knowing also that an impact I'm making that I don't even realize, because I'm sure that there's plenty of state officers and people that have made impact on me that they don't realize what they did and how they altered the trajectory of my life. So yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. And I've seen the impact y'all have made already, especially on my chapter, because I feel like we've gotten to know you a lot through Wimmer, especially, even though I knew Franco before. But I feel like through FFA and through y'all being in state offices, we have really gotten to know you a lot more. So what, just like a little brainstorm, what competitions have y'all competed in besides the ones you mentioned, or like your most interesting competition you think?
So, okay. I love telling people about my public speaking stories. It was a lot of growth for me, but a part of it I don't talk about that much is I did hippology for 2 years, my sophomore and junior year. And oh my gosh, it was an absolute wreck. I am not going to lie, but it was a lot of growth moments for me. So, I've never seen a horse, but, there's one part of the hippology contest where you have to judge 4 types of horses based on their conformation. And I would just end up like picking the prettiest horses. It ended up working for me. But the reason I was there is because in the hippology contest, you got 3 people, but you can have a 4th person, and that 4th score will scratch if it's the lowest. So I was always the lowest, but it was like I said, for me at that time, FFA was just a chance to go hang out with friends. And it was, like I said, great exposure to a culture I would have never seen before. And that's really what I took away from it, even if I didn't always do the best in hippology.
I'd say I've done piles of contests. Fun fact, I did meets judging and got dead last. It's not something I'm very good at. But there was a couple others. I was big dairy judger. Dairy judging was one of my favorites, and it still is. I love to just walk around and look at dairy cows and be like, that one's got a bad udder on it. But I did a little bit of public speaking. I did extemp. I never got past area, though. I wasn't as good as Franco. Franco's a whole lot better of a public speaker than I am. But there's... what other? I did livestock. Unfortunately, I've done so many contests, and I'm not trying to like brag, but it's honestly easier to tell y'all ones I haven't done. But I can't say I was ever any good at them. Though. I never placed very high. I was always like, I was the same way as Franco. I always scratched most of the time, unless it was dairy judging. But even then, I wasn't always the greatest.
And Lee is being humble about dairy judging. I remember at the state fair, we were at Publix or something, and he pulled me aside. He was like, Franco, let me show you these cheeses. And he named every single cheese there and its background and its history. I was like, yeah. He did dairy judging in high school.
Hey, that's dairy foods. There's a difference.
Oh,
there's
okay,
a difference.
okay.
Get it right. But
Hey, it's food. So
it's all good. Live to eat.
Food is food.
Live
Live to eat. That is so true. If you're an FFA member, you are a big back. I feel like that should be our motto, big back.
Me and Franco have gained weight. It's like we have gotten very big. It's a problem. It's becoming a problem.
Yes.
So.
Well, a couple weeks ago, we had state fair.
Mm-hmm.
So how was state fair for y'all?
State fair was honestly some of the best times I've had. Like I enjoyed it so much. It was a long week. It was hot. Well, it wasn't really hot all the time, but it was hot. It was a lot of moving tables.
Mm-hmm.
Every single contest, all those tables we had to take up and tear down every single day. But my favorite part too, I'd say, was bugging the tractors for the tractor troubleshooting. We spent like all afternoon doing that one time, and it was just so much fun. I mean, state fair was just great. And then I got to drive tractors like through the middle of the state fair. And like you're just like whipping a tractor, and like all these people are just staring at you, and you're just like, all right. I really love state fair. It was one of my favorite weeks as a state officer for sure.
Yeah. So while Lee was driving tractors through the middle of state fair, I did not get to witness that. So for the first half of the state fair, I was actually in Indianapolis for a program called Speak Ag. So it pretty much just invites 12 state officers from around the country to learn about advocacy and how we can use social media to advocate for people. So I did miss about a bit, like 3 or 4 days of the first day of the state fair. But when I got back, it was a blast, and I could tell the team was having fun. Like that first night when we, like I said, a lot of it you might see like we're just helping competitions, but it's that afternoon stuff where we're moving tables, and it was just giggling and giggling and giggling. And late nights at the hotel, we played I actually hurt my finger playing Sharks and Meadows one night at the hotel bathroom, or not the hotel bathroom, the hotel pool.
And music while we're moving tables around.
Yeah, but a part of that really did surprise me, because for me as a member, the only time I saw state officers at the state fair was helping out with competitions. But now as a state officer, I kind of learned that service and helping the members sometimes is making sure the competition can go the best for them. And it's that side I never saw as a member, but I'm really glad to be able to appreciate it now as a state officer, to give the best opportunity for
Yeah, I feel like sorry, but when I was there for forestry, we had a little bit of a mix up with the distance.
Yeah, that was our fault.
That was on me. I'll own that one. I will say is I really have a lot more respect for whoever puts on contests. It was so much work. I mean, you don't realize, I have so much more respect for contests now, and people who are running it, they have so much going on. It's insane. And I will say though, Franco mentioned with helping members, it was so fulfilling being able to help maybe some younger members, middle school members, learn how to fill out Scantrons, or helping people learn how to, a lot of people didn't know how to pace off in the forestry contest, how to pace out distances, helping them at least learn, so that way they, even if they didn't get it 100%, they at least kind of knew what they were doing. So that was a really fulfilling part of being a state officer in general, having that opportunity to help people that are in need.
That's so good to hear, especially from our state officers. And y'all were very much help, especially when we arrived a little late. But it's okay. It's okay. We still got to do it. But going to something that's coming up this month that I'm sure y'all are both excited about, National Convention. So what are y'all most excited about for that? I know you're doing a contest, Franco. So what's that going to be like?
Yeah, so So I know Lee and some of the other state officers, they'll be going through the delegate process. I'll still be going through the delegate process, but I have some Speak Ag training, so learning more about storytelling with the Speak Ag Pioneers, and then I also am competing in the extemporaneous public speaking contest. I told myself I would never do extemporaneous, to call it extempt, because you pretty much have 30 minutes to write a whole speech. And as someone who found love in prepared public speaking, where you get to take your time and make sure you're confident in it, it stressed me out so much. And doing it at the national scale is so exciting. We just got our heats released. They call them flights. So the 6 people I'll be competing with for the first round, and just seeing that someone's from Texas and someone's from Puerto Rico, and I get to have these cool conversations with them before the contest. So yes, I will be competing, but I will always say my favorite part about public speaking contest is that waiting room and getting to talk with these people, and everybody's just such amazing stories. So that's something I'm excited for National Convention.
I'd say National Convention is so much fun. I mean, as a state officer, you don't really you get to do the delegate session, and I'm really curious on that. I've never done it before. People always talk about it. It's, I'm not sure, but I'm excited to learn about that. And then my favorite part about National Convention is going around to the expo and meeting all the people. I always did a lot of workshops, or ag teachers. I don't know if you guys do that, but our ag teachers you are required to go to X amount of workshops, and we need a picture of you at this workshop. Because a lot of people just go, but I always enjoyed meeting the people from around the country, and I actually ended up making some friends, and I saw them every year. I'm like, hey, this friend from Nebraska that I know that's really cool. They're going to be there again this year. But, being able to kind of make those connections with people that you otherwise really wouldn't know. And I still keep up with a lot of these people on the daily and know and talk to them. And it's cool to hear stories and, see the different cultures. That's my favorite part. So.
Yeah. Are you guys going to be filling out the T-shirts with the signatures?
Oh, if we have time.
If you have time?
So yeah, the delegate process is pretty intensive. So it's 475 of us.
Oh my gosh.
So a good portion of state officers. The bigger states have more delegates, and we'll be voting on. We have 6 committees, and it's all about making sure the future of agriculture and future FFA is inclusive, and we have all these 6 topics. So we'll be spending a lot of our time debating and thinking of new ideas and hoping that new ideas will pass. But in our free time, I think I'm like Lee said, I'm going to the expo. I'm getting some Culver's ice cream. Yeah.
There was a toy tractor booth. Y'all know one thing about me. I love toy tractors. It's my favorite thing ever. There was a toy tractor booth there last year, and I remember I was scrolling. I was looking at all these things. I'm digging through these bins of toy tractors. Give me one of them.
Yeah, you gotta get us the squishies because we're not going this year, sadly. But you guys gotta get us the squishies for Wimmer. You saw his little wall of squishies. You gotta get him some because we need to add. But we're wrapping up on our time. But so glad to have y'all here. Is there anything y'all would like to say?
just me and Lee. We're state officers, Virginia FFA. We're also your friend. Reach out to us on Instagram. If you go on the website, you can find our emails. Any questions you have, if you just want to talk, I love talking. I love listening. We're here for you.
Hold on, do we plug our Instagrams? Do you know?
Yes.
Mine's Lee Kent, LeeKent 06. If y'all want to follow me, shoot me a DM. We can yap about tractors or farming or just life. I'm cool.
Anything we brought up today, if you have any questions about it or want to talk about it more, we're here for you guys. I'm Francos.adventures on Instagram.
Yeah, and they will also be plugged on the Instagram. So you got that. I don't know if Lee's following me though. So
Ooh.
that's kind of rough.
My fault.
Yeah. I'm going to check. I don't think you are, but
I'm not that active on social media.
I can tell.
It's a problem. I haven't posted in like 6 months. I'm like a state officer. I have so much to post about.
But thank y'all so much for being here. I can't wait to see what else y'all do. And thank y'all for listening. And I'll see you next month. Bye.